Jackie, we've just finished seeing Desert Flower and specific issues there in that film, but the wider issues of, I guess, objectification of women, is this still a real struggle and a challenge?
It's a struggle all over the world, yes. I think we see the same issues coming up in every country, actually. It just manifests itself in different ways in different places. It's violence against women, objectification of women, discrimination against women. There are lots of different ways it expresses itself around the world, but it happens everywhere, yes.
But we have to look at home first, don't we? And what are our key problems at home?
Well, there are lots of problems still of violence against women, sexual violence, domestic violence. There are a lot of really big problems, and discrimination as well, especially in the recession here. A lot of women are losing their jobs. They maybe have part-time jobs. They're losing those. Childcare provisions, it's very difficult for them, so that again women are being more and more sidelined. We've just come up with a report today, a two-week review of the paper with our partners EVES, End Violence Against Women Coalition, and Object, and it's looking at how the press treats women and how the press objectifies women, treats violence against women in a way that often blames the victims. Shows how that actually translates into society in the way that women are finding it difficult to get justice in the courts, especially for sexual violence. Shows the women are invisible quite often in the press, or when they are visible they're half naked. Well, there's the whole page 3 phenomenon. So it's very difficult in that environment. A lot of women in power are infantilized and are treated, criticized not because of their policies, but because of maybe what they wear, or and it becomes very difficult in that environment to push through with women's equality, for women to be treated seriously and for women to play a proper role. It really affects our democracy in many ways. Are things any better now than they were 10, 15, 20 years ago? You know, we seem to have got rid of that sort of 70s sexism, in that people of a certain age, and we seem to go okay in the 80s. Have we come back to sort of having those constant challenges again? I think it does have. We do have constant challenges. I think that we've come a long way in many respects. There are a lot more young girls, young women getting into professions that maybe they were prevented from getting into before. But we still have some structural problems and some other general discrimination problems that means that after a certain while it's very difficult for them to continue. And also in the way that a lot of older women and women with disabilities and minority ethnic women are really not seen in the public spheres. And I think we have to find a way of challenging a lot of the prejudices that stop women from being able to move forward. But having said that, a lot is being done, and there are a lot of women and men who are working very strongly for equality for women, but so much more needs to be done, and we need a lead at all different levels. And as our report on the press just showed, we also need the press to be able to be a bit more professional and report things in a way that shows reality and make sure that more women are included. Because if you're cutting women out of the public sphere, you're doing a huge disservice to our society and our democracy, really, as well as our women and our families.
Here we are in Essex, and we talk about crime. That the police are facing £43 million worth of cuts, and the amount of calls that they do get in relation to domestic violence. There must be a real concern there, taking it from crime, that those calls won't be responded to.
There's a huge concern of this, and as I mentioned before, not only do the cuts disproportionately affect women in the economic sphere, but it affects them also because there have been cuts in provision for women's services, for rape crisis centres, in terms of response to domestic violence. And it's a really big issue, and that's really one of the failings in the philosophy of the big society. You have big society of people who have more resources than others, who can carve out their space and their voice, but there are a lot of people who are suffering more and more and more cuts, and they're just struggling really to keep going, let alone being able to campaign to preserve what they have already, and they're the ones who are really losing out.
So what would you hope at the end of 16 days of activism, what would you hope people get out of it, so to speak?
What I hope is that there's renewed recognition by government, by local government, by society in general, that a lot more needs to be done to support women in society at all different levels, economically and in ways that they're discriminated against and violence is carried out against them, so that actually we're having a big discussion on how we use resources and how people are involved, and whether you need to think about different ways of doing things so that you do get more people involved and you make sure that society is an inclusive place and it's a place where we can all live safely.